good morning, and Derek here from Freedom Fellowship here in Lower Hutt, Wellington. Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning wherever you are on this planet. So Freedom Fellowship it's really about individuals coming to the understanding that you can have, I'll give an example. Christians would say, you must develop your own personal relationship with the Creator. But more important as well, you must develop your own mindset. You must really think for yourself as well. Because programming, unfortunately, is not only prevalent within confines of religion, but really controls the emotions and the actions of that individual. So, the disadvantage, basically, the actual word religion means to bind and bring into bondage, and that's not a good positive way to start this video, but that's exactly what it means. And so my mission in life now is to help Christians to come out of deception. But this is what happens, is that the information that they've learned is within a circle, and everything outside that circle in regards to the Creator is unfortunately sometimes instantly rejected. There are some Christians really who come to the point, when I talk about certain aspects about Christianity, some of them take that on instantly, and that's it. They change their whole life around. I did as well. I was actually about to launch an evangelistic crusade 2008 or 7, actually 2008. It was called DGM, Direct Global Marketing. And I was a Christian evangelist at the time. It was actually when I met up with my stepfather, Richard Meredith, and he said to me, this is 2008, he said to me, what does Jesus mean? And I said, well, it means, Savior, it means Emmanuel, God with us, and blah, blah, blah. I was talking about all these references regarding to the name Jesus. And then I think he said to me, is the name Jesus Hebrew or Greek? I said, well, it's Hebrew. And so everything I knew about the name Jesus was totally incorrect. Jesus, in a nutshell, is not a Hebrew name. The letter J does not exist in the Hebrew language, and actually the letter J was invented in the 1300s, so it was impossible to call him that. And the name Jesus in itself is 100% Greek, and it means Zeus. So when I found out, when he told me that on 2008, before I was to launch my crusade, it was actually a good idea. I used to film churches, or the goal was to film churches, put them on DVD, knock on the door and give them a DVD of the church. Would have worked quite well. But the Creator saved me for the real deal. And then I realized if the name Jesus actually meant, there's no letter J in the Hebrew language, so it's impossible for Jesus to be a Hebrew name. And S in Hebrew actually means horse, a thing with 4 legs. So, you don't want to call him a horse, do you? And what's ironic, my friends, is that there is absolutely no New and Old Testament. There is a new covenant that's in Jeremiah 31 verse 33. But the invention of, this is how they got the New Testament. And I'll send you a link to a video to have a look at it. You'll be amazed. Historians are actually talking about how Christianity was invented. These historians anyway on this video, they're not biased. They're not trying to sell or to recruit people to a religion, because all they're trying to do really, all they did was find factual evidence about the invention of Christianity. And I call it the Greek Bible because that's exactly what it is. It's not a New Testament. But what the Roman Empire did was invent a book, which is the Greek Bible. They attached it to the Hebrew Tanakh, and then they called the Hebrew Tanakh the Old Testament, and they called their Greek Bible the New Testament. Unfortunately, when they invented their Greek Bible, there's over 300 errors. All the disciples have beautiful Greek names, but they're meant to be Hebrew. And the most Hebrew of them all, which is Paul. Paul is certainly not a Hebrew name, but it's 100% a Greek name. And Paul, in his writings and his concepts and his precepts, were definitely not Hebrew. Only a Hebrew would know that this guy is not a Hebrew. So if the name Jesus means Zeus, who are you praying to? So my mission is to travel all over New Zealand and help Christians come out of this deception. If you're saying the name Jesus and praying to the name Jesus and it means Zeus, who are you praying to? Because the truth will set you free, but you got to have the truth, like the actual truth. If you want to know the truth, you've got to understand it was given to the Hebrew nation. Israel is not just the Jews. Israel is obviously from Yaakov, Jacob. His name was changed to Israel, and then Israel being Jacob, had 12 sons who were scattered all over the world, and those nations, those 12 sons became nations, and now they're huge. The fourth son, I think it was the fourth son of Jacob, and Jacob said, go and possess the South Pacific. And the Romans actually put west, south, or they actually tried to change the direction, or to, just to deceive people, so the tribes wouldn't be found. But we know the good news: the Creator knows where they are. So, and that's what Israel, this is Jacob, said to one of his sons, the fourth son, Naphtali, go and possess the South Seas. And the South Pacific, look at Polynesians. I mean, people say the best sea voyages were done by the Polynesian, by us, by Polynesian. And when Captain Cook came to Aotearoa and to the South Pacific, there are thousands, not walkers, but ships, some bigger than his. So much contradictions. And in the Tanakh, it says in Isaiah 43, I think 43 verse 10, and Yahweh says, there's no Savior before me, no Savior after me. After means in the future, and 1,000 years later, this Jesus guy shows up with a Greek name. And it also says that no man can die for another man's sin. That's in the Tanakh, it's in the scriptures. So Jesus was a man, obviously. And when you say that Jesus and God are one, it's kind of insane, because who died on the cross, God or Jesus? There's not one scripture in 27,000 verses of the Old Testament, which for you Christians, which is really the Tanakh, that says Jesus and God are one. There's not one. If you can find one, let me know. I'm setting up a Facebook page called Freedom Fellowship, also a website thing. If you want to come on board, help me. We're going to evangelize this whole Aotearoa and get Israel out of the Greek deception, because that's where they are. Amen. But I mean, there's some of these Israelites are stubborn. We've got to come back to their identity. Israel is not just the Jewish people. There are 12 tribes. Israel is talking about 12 tribes. If you're Polynesian, you're from the tribe of Naphtali. That's as simple as that. Time now is 5 minutes to 9, so I'm going to short this video. But I'm going to put up videos all the time, basically, to help people to come to the truth. Because if you are worshipping another God, which is Jesus, because they're not, Jesus is Zeus, that's a Greek name, and you're worshipping, don't do that. You're committing idolatry. You're worshipping another God. And Yahweh is one. There's only one creator. There is the Trinity in itself is not even Christian. The early church, Roman Catholic, adopted the Trinity, which is a pagan custom, to appease, or actually to recruit the pagans. So but I've got some good news for you guys. Even right now, a lot of people are coming out of it's really an abomination. The name Jesus, the whole Christianity is one big abomination. And many of, it says in the book of Jeremiah, Yahweh says that I will regather Israel from four corners of the earth. And one amazing, this is the new covenant. Before I finish off, it's in Jeremiah 31 verse 33. It says, the new covenant is, that's how it starts off. It's quite clear. The new testament is, the new covenant is, this is Creator speaking, I will write the Torah on their hearts and their minds, forgive their sin, and remember their sin no more. No Jesus in that passage, and there's no sacrifice. Why? Because it's a total lie. So, as a Christian, you've got to get out of your deception, because when you stand before the Almighty and mention that abomination name, I can guarantee you're not going to be in a good place. Just believe me. But the reality is here, don't believe anything anyone says, including myself. Discover the truth yourself. Investigate. Be like a historian. Look at information. These are the 3 points that you need. You need 3 tools. Etymology, the study of origins. The study of names, sorry. Etymology, the study of languages, and also names. You got to know exactly what they mean. Even you mention the word God, Lord, it's all pagan. Those are words you shouldn't mention at all. Should be Elohim, should be Hashem, or else the Creator's name Yahweh. Those are the proper references. Also historical evidence. Did you know in the time of Jesus, the so-called time of Jesus, which is I think 33 CE or 30 CE, within that time period, and also within the same geographic area, there are many secular writers who wrote nothing about him. at all. The only historical evidence, or you only can find Jesus in the Greek Bible, the New Testament. I'm going to put up a video. You please watch it. It's called the Invention of Christianity. It's done by historians who don't have a religious bias. They're not trying to recruit you. Their whole goal is to tell you the factual evidence. And if you look at, so if you're a Christian worshipping Zeus, you're very accountable. So there is no new and old. The Romans invented a book and they called it the New Testament. They attached it to the Hebrew Bible called the Tanakh. In the New Testament is one rabbi said, over 1,000 errors. One simple error is this here. In the New Testament, in the book of Acts, it says that Jacob and his family came into Egypt with 75 of his members, and found in the book of, I think, Deuteronomy and Exodus, it says that Jacob and his family came into Egypt with 70 members. So that's just one error. There's thousands of them. Whatever you do, if you want the truth, don't read anything containing to anything done by the Christian church or Christianity, whatever. You've got to come back to the Tanakh, the Hebrew. If you want the truth, learn from the Hebrews. The Hebrew language is a chemical language. Every letter has a numerical value. So it's fantastically put up and divine. There's not one mistake in the Torah. It's perfect. Why? Because the perfect creator gave us, the human beings, the Tanakh. You are Israel, and we've been spread all over this world. All right. So that new covenant, Jeremiah 31 verse 33, one Christian go, but it's only for the Israelites or the Jews. Jews are part of the 12 tribes. Okay, and if it's only for them, that means they don't need Jesus. So that's so contradictory. Which is not a word, I just made up, it's in the direct dictionary. But anyway, have a fantastic day. Baruch Hashem, whatever you do, seek the Hebrew truth. Seek the truth. The enemy, whatever it is, basically wants to distort, but that's coming to an end because the tribes are all being restored. I'm Derek Grace, pick up the pace, you're going to win this race. Ka kite.